time is now 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the Beloit City Council meeting order at this time. Can we have a roll call, please?
All councilors are present.
Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Will you stand, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, Special Order of the Day and Announcements. 3A, please. City Manager Luther.
Thank you. We have our police chief and our public works director and our operations division head who are introducing a couple of staff members to us today.
Okay, they would come forward at this time. Chief.
Good evening, councilors. I'd like to introduce you to Nicole Coyne. She's one of our newest records clerks. She has actually is a rehire. She did 2 years with Madison PD, and then she worked here for a while. Her lovely daughter, Riley. And she left for a little bit, and all of a sudden, she's got Henry, and now she's returned. So we're happy to have her back on second shift. Nicole Coyne.
Welcome.
We have two new members that have joined the Public Works Department. They are not here with us, but we at least wanted to announce their names. I'm happy to announce that we have Ryan Pettit, who is in our water use.
Ryan's here.
Oh, he is here. Ryan, he's here.
He's shaved.
Good. Yes, we're very excited. Ryan was one of our seasonal employees, and now he is working with us full-time, and he is our equipment operator. So welcome to the team, Ryan.
Nice to meet you.
I said welcome.
I apologize. I didn't read.
Thanks, you did a nice job today.
Thank
It's
you.
nice meeting you.
Thank you. You too.
Citywide Facilities has hired a new person. Actually, October 8th was his first day. His name's Aaron Giles. He has some excavating experience, some irrigation and plumbing experience, kind of all-around guy. So I think he's going to fit in really well with us. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Jody.
Item 3B, please.
3B is a proclamation declaring November 24th, 2018 as a Small Business Saturday.
Vice President Duncan, please.
I would like to read an official proclamation on behalf of the City of Beloit, and it reads, whereas Small Business Saturday was launched nationally in 2010 in an effort to support local shops and expanded a community's economy, and whereas there are currently 30.2 million small businesses in the United States, and whereas small businesses and independent retailers are the backbone of our nation, creating jobs, boosting the local economy, preserving our neighborhoods, and giving back to the community. And whereas Small Business Saturday promotions will take place on November 24th of 2019, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, to encourage consumers to bring more holiday shopping to small businesses. And whereas various participating businesses will have sales, specials, treats, and more to create a festive atmosphere, and whereas Small Business Saturday will stimulate local economic growth and strengthen our small business community. Now, therefore, the City Council, President of the City of Beloit, and the City Councilors do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 24th as Small Business Saturday in the City of Beloit, recognizing the tremendous contributions of small businesses to the economic sustainability of our community and encouraging consumers to shop small business in Beloit all year long to find unique gifts, dine locally, support, and get to know our friends and neighbors who operate small businesses. Presented the 19th day of November 2018.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4.
Mr. President, may I make a brief comment?
Sure.
Just on the heels of the declaration read by our Vice President, I just wanted to say that our city manager, Lori Luther, did a great job, gave a terrific interview recently to MSNBC, which featured Beloit. And there was a lot of attention paid to our downtown small businesses. Great job, Lori, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
I didn't read it. Before we move to item 4, public hearings, I know we recognize new employees this evening, and I know that they probably want to stay here for the rest of the night till midnight, but if she wants to leave, Chief, you can tell her that this is maybe a time where she wants to ease out, so she'll stay here to midnight with the rest of us if she wants to, so.
It's a night owl.
Item 4A, please.
Consideration of Resolution 2018-196 approving a planned unit development master land use plan on the property located at 2240 Cranston Road.
Ms. Christensen, please.
The property is 6 acres in area and is located immediately west of the Casey's General Store parcel. There is a 100-foot electric transmission line easement that separates the proposed development area from the existing Casey's site. The proposal is for 4 buildings. There'll be 24 units each in each building, and they're approximately 14,000 square feet each. The facility will be licensed by the state of Wisconsin as a community-based residential facility. The applicant has also submitted, so this is a PUD master land use plan, so it has 3 steps to it. The first step is approving the PUD master land use plan. The second step is the rezoning to PUD. And the third step is actually site plan review, which is done by staff. The proposed PUD does have 2 phases with 2 buildings sharing a centralized off-street parking lot. In each phase, there's a new driveway on Cranston Road and a secondary driveway on Shapiro Road, and the secondary driveway will utilize an existing easement over the Casey's General Store parcel. This PUD does include minimum front building setback of 30 feet, a side setback of 10 feet, and a rear setback of 15 feet. These setbacks are consistent with the minimum setbacks in the existing C2 zoning classification. According to the code, there's a half of parking stall per resident room, which would equal 48 parking stalls for the proposed development. They have proposed a total of 62 stalls for this development, 32 stalls in the first phase and 30 stalls in the second phase. This proposed development will also be subject to the city's landscaping, lighting, signage, and other development standards. The applicant is considering a possible condominium plat to allow each building to have separate ownership, and if that option is chosen, a condo plat will be submitted separately for Plan Commission consideration and council approval. This was sent out to the city's review agents. The engineering division did have a requirement that a full-width driveway from the parking lot area to Shapiro Road access driveway must be included during phase 1 of the project. The applicant must show the stormwater management areas on the final PUD plan submittal, and stormwater must be managed on the same lot as the impervious surfaces. The applicant must secure and provide a copy of the high-voltage transmission line easement prior to final approval, and engineering did approve. Engineering required a traffic impact analysis showing no adverse effects by the driveway in Cranston, and they did approve the traffic impact analysis, which did show that. So we are allowing that access where it is, and then public sidewalks are required. Fire department wanted at least 1 new public fire hydrant. The developer did indicate they'd be doing 2 as part of the development, and then they're requiring the rear driveway to Shapiro to be constructed during the first phase of the development. And they suggested that the east-west drive aisles leading to the traffic closures be aligned for better vehicle maneuverability. As part of a PUD, you're required to make sure that it meets all the land use plan review criteria which are included in the ordinance, which we do feel that it meets all the criteria. One of the items that came up during the Plan Commission was concern about the sides of the buildings facing the front. They did, after listening to the developer, explain that the parking lot was in the middle to allow the shortest walk for people who will be living there from the parking lot to the building. And kind of as an afterthought, staff has recommended that you add some landscaping condition so that those sides of the buildings can be screened a little bit better from the front will allow them to look more aesthetically more attractive, and will also allow you to screen the mechanicals. So we are requesting that you amend the resolution to include a condition which basically requires some foundation plantings, which is listed, which I will read in a second. But Plan Commission did recommend approval of the PUD Master Land Use Plan, subject to the conditions that are listed in your resolution in the packet, which is that this approval authorizes the construction of a state of Wisconsin licensed community-based residential facility with up to 4 separate buildings containing up to 25 units each, as shown on the attached PUD Master Land Use Plan and architectural renderings. No other commercial or residential uses are allowed on the subject property. The minimum building setbacks, maximum building height, and minimum lot dimensions shall be those in the C2 zoning district. At least 20% of the lot area shall be open space. Any areas with grasses exceeding 8 inches in height shall require a land management plan. Both proposed access driveways shall be constructed during the first phase, and the Shapiro Road driveway shall be the primary access point for construction traffic. The final PUD plan shall include, and the applicant shall construct, a public sidewalk in the Cranston Road right-of-way along the entire length of the parcel, along with a private connection to the first building to be constructed. The utility plan shall include, and the applicant shall provide at least 1 new public fire hydrant to serve the proposed development at a location approved by the fire inspector. To ensure long-term maintenance, all stormwater management areas shall remain on the same parcel as the buildings and parking lots and may not be subdivided into a separate outlot. Prior to the issuance of a building permit for this project, the applicant shall obtain an architectural review certificate and certificate of zoning compliance. This development is allowed 1 freestanding monument sign up to 15 feet in height and 150 square feet in area, which may not include an electronically variable message component. Each building may include 1 wall sign up to 30 square feet in area. When a property is zoned PUD, the sign has to be included as a condition of approval. And then our standard condition about major changes coming back through this public process, minor changes being approved administratively. And then the 11th condition we added was that the developer shall provide foundation plantings, at least 3 landscape units per linear foot of frontage along the building sides facing Cranston Road, and shall screen all mechanical units facing Cranston Road from view. And Plan Commission did unanimously recommend approval.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing on item 4A. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4A this evening, please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4A this evening? Second call, anyone wishing to speak on item 4A this evening? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak on item 4A this evening? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on item 4A and move to council for a vote. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Duncan. Is there a second? Second by Preschel. Questions, comments, or
I
concerns?
just have a comment.
Councilor Preschel.
Yeah, thank you, staff, for putting that landscaping language in there. I know Tim Whedon brought it up at the commission meeting. We really didn't have a good answer last week, and the days after, I took a ride out there, and I noticed that there's a number of buildings that's showing us sides, and they all have landscaping. The two bank facilities down the road, and looking at the building as built on the existing area up there, it needed some kind of landscaping to be reoriented. So I think it's a good thing to have that in there with a PUD going forward like this. So thanks a lot for doing that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Item 4B, please.
Consideration of ordinance number 3632, amending the zoning district map to change the zoning district classification from C2 Neighborhood Commercial District to PUD Planned Unit Development for the property located at 2240 Cranston Road. This is a first reading.
Ms. Christensen, please.
This is the second step in the PUD process, so this would be the rezoning from C2 to PUD. This is on your agenda for public hearing and first reading.
Okay, at this time, I would like to open the public hearing on item 4B. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4B this evening, please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Second call, anyone wishing to speak on item 4B this evening. Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak on item 4B this evening. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on item 4B. This is our first reading. Question for council: is there anyone seeing why we could not move this to the second reading this evening? Second and final reading.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules and go to a second reading on this.
There's a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second by Forbeck, any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor of suspending the rules say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Now to the merits. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Jacobson, second by Presho. And questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Item 5 is public comments. We reach a portion on our agenda where citizens can fill out sheets to come forward to speak on items that may not be on the agenda. Council will not act on your items. We will take it under advisement and point it to the appropriate person. We did have individuals that completed sheets. I have 2 individuals. However, if you did not complete a sheet at this time, this is your opportunity to come forward and speak as well. We do ask you to refrain from personal attacks from council, staff, or anyone else. If that seems to go down that road, I would ask you to sit down immediately. We do ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes. I would not cut you off at 3 minutes, but we'll give you a friendly reminder that you have approached the 3-minute mark. At this time, Megan Miller is the first one that would speak.
Hi, everybody. This is really appropriate for what I'm here to talk about tonight. So I want to say just good evening and thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Do you have to state my address, right? Like Megan Miller, 1811 Vista Drive, Beloit, Wisconsin. So I'm here tonight to talk to everybody about what I see as a crisis really in our community and in our city regarding childcare. Perhaps right now. But more seriously, so childcare, it's always been an issue. We have a huge lack of affordable, quality childcare that actual, Beloit citizens have access to in our community. It's always, as long as I've been here, been an issue. However, now with the closing of Kitty Ranch, which had its last day open on the 16th, just this past Friday, it's really kind of come to a head. So I'm going to read you some statistics that I put together from the Annie E. Casey Foundation's research. Improvements in educational outcomes produced long-term return to society of $8.24 for every $1 invested during the first 4 to 6 years of school, including pre-kindergarten. 74% of fourth grade students scoring below their 25th percentile in the National Assessment of Educational Progress were from low-income families. And every high school dropout costs our society an estimated $260,000 in lost earnings, taxes, and productivity. There are 9.7 million low-income children, birth through 8, in the United States, 83% or 6.6 million who are at increased risk of dropping out. And the reason that I share those specific points with you this evening is that all of those school performance numbers are tied down to what happens to children 0 through 3. Prior to ever entering our school district, they're coming with this baggage, right? These setbacks. And so, reading off my notes here, the school district has handed children with high ACEs scores. The numbers that I was given most recently by a local expert is that 20% of our Beloit children have an ACEs score, which is the Adverse Childhood Experiences Scale of 4 or higher. Now, that being as it is, having access to consistent, quality, early childhood care mitigates that impact so that you can kind of take the edge off a bit there. There's a huge lack of access for children with disabilities to families who cannot afford to pay for that extra care. And frankly, from an economic standpoint, child care is cost prohibitive. So there are a lot of families who don't qualify for subsidy but who cannot reasonably afford the price of quality child care who either leave the workforce. We've heard some anecdotal evidence from that. I'm on the board for Little Turtles, which is a local daycare center, and since Kitty Ranch is closed, we've heard from multiple families who have expressed that they will have to leave their jobs because they cannot afford or find quality childcare. Every childcare center right now, with very few exceptions, is waitlisted quite a bit. And those that aren't waitlisted, I have to think that there's possibly a reason for that. I don't know. But, and I'm not an expert on that at all. But the bottom line is, I heard Ms. Duncan talk about how small businesses are the economic backbone of our community. And I can't find a stronger economic backbone of our present and future, right, than our kids. And so we have this booming community, we have these new wonderful service jobs, and no one will be there to patronize them if we don't invest right now in early childhood. And so what I'm asking is I'd like to get on the next agenda, if possible, or a future agenda, to see if the city can be proactive, whether through a strategic plan or through partnerships with the GBEDC and child care providers in the community to address this problem, because I feel like there's a great deal of urgency to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts. My name is Daniel Brolsky. I live at 1301 Chapin Street, Beloit, Wisconsin. I speak tonight without the expertise and the data of my friend and colleague Megan Miller, but I bring a few perspectives that might personalize the current daycare crisis and help us consider a few ways forward. In 2013, we learned that Community Kids, the daycare supported financially by Community Action, Head Start, and Beloit College would be closing its doors. My oldest son, Oscar, who is currently up there experiencing his first city council meeting, good civics lesson, was enrolled at the time. And needless to say, my wife and I were panic-stricken as we sought a new daycare for Oscar, since both of us work and still work full-time. It didn't help that Angel Academy announced that it too would be closing its doors that same summer. To jump very quickly to the end of the story, with the support of our families and friends, the aid of a very generous benefactor, my colleague Zip Fawn and I co-founded Little Turtles Playhouse, which replaced Community Kids and later moved to its current location on Clary Street. We are currently thriving. We serve the needs of around 45 families, including those who benefit from state support, and we have a growing waiting list. On one hand, I am proud to have been involved in the creation and the growth of Little Turtles. On the other hand, our successes are ultimately symptomatic of the failure of our community to support our schools, our families, our working parents, and our children. Most people do not have the benefit of a generous patron with resources. Most don't have the schedule, the family support, and social capital to start a daycare, an endeavor which is grueling and never-ending. We should not have to live in a community where the care of our children before they start 4K is touch and go. We should not, as is the case at Little Turtles, have panicked parents coming to us, clamoring to find a place to help teach and care for their children while they work to put food on the table and hold down a steady job. And unless our government, with its clout and large-scale resources, commits to supporting structures that provide citywide preschool education, it will only be the privileged few, not the entire community, who prosper. In short, why does wide-scale public support for children only begin when they turn 4? It strikes me as a rather arbitrary and somewhat unscientific decision. Now, Megan has already spoken of the long-term and community-wide economic and social benefits of preschool education. I'd like to add one further but related perspective, one that I've learned in the last year as a foster parent. In spite of what we often hear from well-meaning folk, our foster son is not lucky to have found us. Rather, lucky are those children who get to grow up with their biological parents. There are, of course, complex circumstances which might make it difficult for someone to adequately care for their own child. But the lack of available daycare, especially for low-income parents and those who work second and third shift jobs, is one of the significant factors contributing to the separation of children from their families. The solution to these problems should not be left to the privileged few who may or may not provide piecemeal support. What's needed is a support that looks after everyone, especially those most in need of help. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6, consent agenda. I'm sorry, is there anyone else wishing to speak under public comments this evening? Seeing none, Councilor Presho and then Councilor Forback.
I just had the one item to pull off the consent agenda.
Well, let me finish with public comments first. Councilor Forback.
Yes, I do have some comments. Since I am now a CASA volunteer, I also have more information about these issues. I have to say that I'm not familiar with best practices that would show where a city can address this big need. But it doesn't mean that people shouldn't be working on seeing if there's something else that can be done within the greater Beloit community for this issue. So I just want to say to Megan and to, is it Daniel, that give me maybe a call and I'll see if I can help coordinate whatever can be done. It's just sort of a passion of mine. So thank you for your bringing this important issue up to us. I don't know if there's anything we can do, but you know, maybe there is something.
And along with that, I did, while they were speaking, kind of talked to the city manager as well. She said, they could have a conversation, but to your point, there's, without looking into it, deeper and stuff, I don't know what a city as a whole could do. So I think, at least start with a conversation. We can't guarantee anything, but, maybe point him in the right direction, but at least that's a start. So, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak under public comments? Seeing none, now we move on to item 6, consent agenda.
All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a city council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Thank you. Currently, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6J. Is there anyone like anything removed from the consent agenda? Councilor Presho.
Yes, I would like to remove 6J. I have a relationship with the Beloit Janesville Symphony Orchestra Board, and we will be discussing, hopefully looking forward to some options for renting and leasing or subleasing in that area. So I don't want to present a conflict here, so I'll
Okay,
have to
so
recuse
6J.
myself.
Anyone else
6J.
like anything else removed from the consent agenda? The consent agenda now consists of items 6A through 6I. There's a motion by Jacobson, second by Duncan. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving that portion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Item 6J, please. Before we move, we'll have Council Presho recuse himself. And you got that for the note, right?
Consideration of Resolution 2018-203, approving a lease agreement between the City of Beloit and Beloit 2020 Corporation for the real property located at 1003 and 1005 Pleasant Street.
Mr. Yankee.
Good evening. The City of Beloit was recently approached by Beloit 200. We refer to them in the past as Beloit 2020, who indicated an interest in leasing the city-owned property commonly referred to as the Pump House, located at 1003 and 1005 Pleasant Street. Beloit 200 would like to lease this property so they could have a presence in City Center, and they'll be using that space for their offices and to conduct meetings. We considered this proposal. We thought this was appropriate tenant and an appropriate use. So we negotiated the lease that you have in your packet tonight. Some of the key points of that particular lease: this is a 2-year initial lease. Beloit 200 has the option to extend for an additional 2 years. And the City of Beloit and Beloit 200 mutually could agree for 3 additional 2-year terms for a total potentially up to 10 years. The rent will be $1 a year, but Beloit 200 will be responsible for any real estate taxes or real property taxes or personal property taxes. Beloit 200, the tenant, will be responsible for paying all utilities, the utility bills, gas, water, sewer, refuse removal, etc. Of course, the city will be responsible for any major structural repairs and will also be responsible for snow removal, lawn care, and landscaping care. Beloit 200 will have the ability to sublease to appropriate community-based nonprofit organizations. Any income that they receive from that rental income above and beyond of the costs that they'll incur to pay for the utilities will be passed on to the City of Beloit. And we'll basically calculate those on an annual basis, and if we determine that they've brought in more income than what they've paid out in utilities, they'll make us an annual payment. So staff is recommending approval of the lease, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address those for you.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Sportback, second by Blakely. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0 with one abstention. Before we move to item 7, we'll wait for Council Presho to come back. Item 7 is licensed to 7A, please.
Consideration of Resolution 2018-194, approving the 2017 through 2019 applicants for an alcohol beverage operator's bartender's license for a period October 29th through November 12th, 2018. You have before you tonight 14 recommendations for approval.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Forback. Is there a second? Second by Blakely. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Item 8, ordinances. There aren't any. Item 9 is appointments. 9A, please.
The individual name below has been nominated for a seat on the city board, committee, or commission. Each nomination is subject to confirmation by the city council. Approval of the appointment will be accomplished by one motion unless a city member requests to take up a nomination separately, in which event the nomination will be removed from the general order of business and is considered at this point on the agenda. There is one appointment this evening to the Landmarks Committee for John F. Winkleman III, 636 Church Street, to the term ending October 31st, 2021.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Jacobson, second by Duncan. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Council activities and upcoming events. Councilor Jacobson. Want to turn you?
As your DBA rep, I should remind everyone that the Grand Lighted Holiday Parade is Friday, and Santa Claus is moving to the Hendricks Art Center, so Santa will not be at the bookstore. So Santa and Mrs. Claus are moving. Also, Saturday is Small Business Saturday, and so you can just turn right back around and come back downtown on Saturday.
So what time does the parade start?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Santa between 5 and 6.
Right.
Is the run-up. This run-up is 5 to 6.
I say just have dinner downtown and, spend the whole night down there.
Yeah. Stop for an ice cream.
That's all I have.
Councilor Anderson.
I just wanted to thank everybody who went out and voted on Tuesday. It was definitely a crazy night. A lot of people came out and voted in Beloit, which was absolutely amazing. We set some records, so that was great news. Thanks to the staff who handled that and also the people that volunteered to do that. I also want to thank the candidates who ran. Whether or not they won, they put their name out. They ran on what they believed on, and it was definitely a worthwhile experience for all of them involved. And just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Councilor Blakely.
It's Mrs. Echo again. I just want to see everybody downtown this weekend. You want to pitch a tent? That's probably a special consideration. Chief of Police is here. We're not recommending you pitch a tent, but hang out as long as you want, Friday night and Saturday. I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. And I always think it's important to honor the people who were here long before any of us, the indigenous people, the Native Americans of our region. So blessings upon them and their families, and blessings on all of you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Councilor Forback.
Well, I guess I just want to say that my husband and I, as usual, are busy going to a lot of our small businesses and supporting them, which gets even more delightful every time we go to a nice new fun place to eat or to buy something. So that's what we've been mostly busy for, and I won't be here for the parade. We're going to a daughter's for Thanksgiving way up in northern Wisconsin, but it's the first one of the 26th that I'm missing. So anyway, it'll be a great time anyway. Thanks.
Councilor Prescio.
Well, I got my voice back. Aren't you all happy? Thanks to everybody who worked on the elections. I'm sorry I couldn't join you. I was without a voice. Anyway, last week I attended the Turtle Creek Park Plan, strategic plan meeting in the morning on Monday. It was very well attended, and there was some really good ideas, and it's good to see that the Parks Department and everybody's moving forward with something, and that everybody seems to be on board and like what the ideas are so far. Look for that coming up in the future. That evening, I attended the first public information meeting of the Cranston Road Corridor Study. Some great ideas and lots of information. I'm glad I was there, learned lots of new things, and it's a study. That's all it is. We've got to see what it was driven by citizens coming to this meeting and asking us to do something about excessive accidents along that strip. And so that's what we're working on. I'm happy as the staff's doing something already just from that one meeting, and I'm really happy about that. I'm sure people will be hearing about that soon. But it's good. We're moving forward, and this is how it should work. We're making Beloit better. Next Monday is What the Tech at Grinnell Hall, and I'll be hosting that again. Hopefully have a nice turnout. And then Monday night is Courageous Conversations, and at Merrill Community Center at 5:30, if you'd like to come out. Yeah, since it was my idea, I guess I will. The topic for this one is, would you vote for an atheist? And these are conversations about tough topics. People are reluctant to talk about or discuss. I don't know if my pastor friend Rick is going to come or not, but I'm hoping he'll show up. And we're going to have a courageous conversation and maybe learn a few things that and put aside some misconceptions or misperceptions about people and their beliefs and how they work in society. So it's a good thing. Come out 5:30 to 7 Monday night, Merrill Community Center. Thanks.
Vice President Duncan.
I had the opportunity to attend the Rock County Breakfast. And then also, as you know, we have to continue to support literacy initiatives. So I had an opportunity to participate in the YWCA Colorful Community Initiative along with Counselor Anderson. And I went to Washington School and also Van Buren School. And I also had an opportunity to attend the Turtle Creek Park revitalization meeting. Special thanks to Laura Williamson and the DPW team. You did a wonderful job, and it was great to see so many community members present. And then also I was at the Appointment Review Committee. And there is an array of vacancies. If you go on our City of Beloit website, you can see what those are. But I know at our particular meeting, what we discussed was that we have 2 youth openings for youth representatives on the Municipal Golf Committee and also the Parks and Rec Commission. And we're looking for high schoolers. So I will be reaching out along with some of the other members to the Principal Ramos at the high school, and hopefully we can get some students to serve on that committee, on those 2 committees. And then, let's see, I also had an opportunity to attend the community conversation at New Zion Baptist Church. And from that, we had a lot of dialogue amongst the people that were there. And so I'm hoping with some of the, with listening to some of the things that some of the community members shared as far as some of their needs, that having a school district that they can really be proud of and to have somewhere safe that their kids go to, that was really a concern. And so I would like to see us as a council, I hope we can have dialogue between the school district of Beloit and also the city council. I think that's important. Since I've been on the council, we bring it up, but then we need to follow up more with that. So I hope we partner more with the school district of Beloit. And then also, I wanted to mention the Lighted Holiday Parade. We talked about that, and that's from 5 to 9. I know the live music starts at 5, then Santa arrives at 6. And then at 6:15, there's the lighted parade along Grand Avenue. And then 7 o'clock, Santa's going to visit the Hendricks Center for the Arts. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to bring my grandchildren, and that's on Friday. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you to the Downtown Beloit Association for really putting that together. And then also I want to mention something important, the City of Beloit garbage collection. Last time, I know that we received some phone calls. Most of the counselors probably sitting here today. We received those. But what I did tonight was I actually went online to see how easy it was to go on and figure out when my pickup day was. So if you would do that, all you need to do is go to the City of Beloit website and put your address in, and it'll tell you. And I know that the schedule is like there's a 1 day difference. So just so you're aware, because Thursday trash will not be picked up. That's Thanksgiving. So I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We have lots to be grateful for. Our city is looking beautiful. So I just want to say thank you to all the city staff. It's apparent that you're doing a very good job. Thank you to our city manager. It's really, really looking like Christmas almost. So we got to get to Thanksgiving, right? So that's all I have. Thank you.
No trash pickup on Thursday? Wow.
We picked up on Friday.
The thing, no Thursday. No Thursday, because Thursday, my dad just wanted to make sure. Thursday. Okay. Thursday's pickup is on Friday.
Right. It's a day difference.
I know. But it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas with the snow out there already, so we want people to be careful. Also, to just echo the election night returns and the work that was going into that, a very busy night. We had a lot of people running ballots around to different locations, so hats off to them. They were here to probably wee hours of the morning making sure everything was right. And it's nice to hear that, we didn't experience a lot of the issues that some other areas did. So hats off to the staff and anyone who had a part in that, greatly appreciated. And thanks to the residents who stuck it out. Some people were waiting in line, not maybe for a long time, but at least they were committed to voting and didn't want to leave so hats off to you as well. And we need to keep that going whenever there's an election to make sure that we have a good voter turnout. So I was glad to see that. As we all said, Thursday is Thanksgiving. Once again, no trash pickup. But we want to, from the council, as the president of the council, and from the rest of us, wish the entire staff and our entire city a happy Thanksgiving. Take a little time to enjoy family. As you watch the news, you see a lot of things going on in other cities. People have lost their homes. A lot of stuff is going on in the world right now. So if you have family, it's time to, treasure them, spend a little time with them, enjoy family, because we don't know, tomorrow's not promised to anyone. So I always tell people, if you have grudge against people in your family, it's time to put that differences aside, and make sure that we value the people around us, and that's family, friends, and anyone else value to you, because tomorrow's not promised to anyone. But I just think that this time of year we need to be thankful as we go into the holiday season. We may have a warm place to sleep at night or a hot meal on Thursday. For people who may say, I don't like green bean salad or whatever, remember there are people out there who don't have anything to eat. So we need to be mindful of all that and just be thankful for what we have. So I wanted to pass that along as we move forward. With that, we move to item 11, City Manager's Presentation.
Real quick, I wanted to remind somebody,
Go ahead.
because of Thanksgiving, the Plan Commission meeting that would normally be Wednesday night is tomorrow night, Tuesday night, at 7 o'clock here in the Forum. So anybody seeing the agenda and all the items that got referred to Plan tonight, looking to go to that meeting, that's tomorrow night, Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11, City Manager's Presentation. 11A.
A snow maintenance update.
Thank you. Public Works Director Laura Williamson and Jody Saunders will be presenting to you, or presenting to the public, some information about how we prepare for snow removal and tee that up for us. We've had a dusting so far, maybe a little bit more than dusting, and we'd be thrilled if we could keep it at that through the end of the year.
Yeah.
See what you can do with that. Yeah, see what we can do with that.
Thank you.
There we go. You got it up? Well, good evening, and again, thank you for allowing us to provide you with an update on our winter snow maintenance operations. And good evening to all of you, and as Lori mentioned, I'm Laura Williamson, and I have Jody Saunders here, our Director of Operations, who works very tirelessly throughout the season, as well as Mark Edwards, in really managing and overseeing our snow maintenance program, which I'm going to get to. And you all started to mention outside, it's that time of year when we start to think about the colder temperatures, and yes, we have seen some of the fluffy stuff, the white stuff. But as we prepare our homes for cold in the fall, rest assured that the Public Works Department has been very busy preparing for the snow season as well. How the staff prepares for the snow events. One, we do training. Actually, every fall, Jody conducts a training session. It's a whole day training to really remind our team what's involved with the snow operations, safety measures, new routes that we might be doing, what we learned from last year carrying over for this year's operations. We also, in advance, will buy the materials needed, the salt, as well as our pre-treatment materials that are needed for the snow operation. We've already used some of them. We've tried to keep that at a very minimal amount right now, trying to preserve our budgets. And then also regularly, and we get it twice a day, we actually receive weather forecasting. We do watch that. We actually, when we hear a forecast and we know there's something coming a few days in advance that might be a snowstorm, we start talking about that. What's the staffing that's needed? What type of a snow event are we really getting prepared for? What are we seeing that might be changing weather conditions? That is on high alert for us as soon as we start to hear that there might be a snow event occurring. We also do briefings. Part of that is Jody and the team will sit down and start talking about who's available for the operations, when do we need them based on the weather conditions. And also, even after an event and after an operation, we'll sit back and we'll say what worked. How might we need to improve things? What were some of the conditions we saw that we need to now modify for? So it's a constant work in progress. And then lastly, certainly our citizen engagement. And that is where we really have been trying to be more mindful in getting word out to our citizens through social media avenues, informing the counselors, Lori, keeping Lori updated, what has been going on so we can involve the citizens early on in the process so they can too help us to help them in getting prepared for the snow. Also, we have a city website where you can find updates on that, as well as a Public Works Facebook page. But it takes more than just our staff to do this. We also have to enlist the help of our citizens. And how we are looking to have you help us is when we're getting ready for a snowfall, typically we will plow at 2 inches or more of snow. And that's when we will declare a snow emergency. However, we've had 2 small dustings just recently where we had some salting operations going on where we look at where there's inclines or the bridges where they might get icy or slippery. We'll do a partial salting operation. It's at 2 inches typically or more. We'll start to see all the plows coming out. We also, at that time when we declare an emergency, we are requiring all of our vehicles to be moved off of the city streets. And if you check on our webpage, you will find all the locations that have been designated of where you can park your cars. We want to make sure that we encourage citizens to please do that in advance because we really don't want a ticket. We work very close with code enforcement, and by getting the cars off the street, it allows the snow operators to really get out there and clean the streets. So you helping us helps you. Also, notifications. We will be sharing this information on news channels, cable. We work with Austin at the paper, city's website, social media, and even new this year, working with our strategic communications director, we have now a place where you can sign up for snow emergencies as well. Similar to the trash, we have one for snow now via email. And then as a reminder, it is a city ordinance that you do need to remove snow and ice from your sidewalks within 48 hours of a major event, snow or sleeting. And then lastly, we really encourage our citizens, please do not put the snow out into the street. I know it's tempting, but we really need you to put it into your yard. So how much do we really maintain? What are the city assets? And it was outstanding to me. We have 86 miles of main streets or arterial roads, 103 miles of residentials. We have 32 municipal parking lots. We have 10 miles of alleys, 25 miles of sidewalks, and then our cul-de-sacs and boulevards. So oftentimes people say, why does it take so long to plow? There you go. We have a lot of miles that we are trying to maintain. And this is also where I want to mention that it's really our first responders, and oftentimes you hear about police and fires being first responders, and I'm going to suggest to you that in addition to the police and fire, I'm going to call our snow fighters first responders. And they're the men and women that are up at all hours of the night. Jody and I were texting on Saturday morning at 3:30, was it in the morning? They're up making sure that the roads are cleared, the sidewalks are cleared, so that when you're getting up, going to work, getting to school, or you're just going to recreate someplace, you have a safe way to do that. And so again, just be mindful when you see them out there plowing, even if you just wave them and tell them they're doing a great job, it really does mean a lot to them. Plowing is the best method of snow removal for us, and it actually takes 4 times more salt to remove ice than to prevent it. And that's where it leads us to the pre-treatment. And I know when people start to see that coming on the streets, it now alerts people that there may be a snowstorm coming. And we actually like that starts to trigger that response because it reminds people about how to drive in the snow and the ice. And how do we do that? We do a pre-treatment, and it's like laying a Teflon coating on the street. We're all getting ready for Thanksgiving. We're all going to put that, at least I use Pam on my pans for frying and things. It's the same kind of thing that we're doing on the roads, is that we're putting that coating on the roads in attempt to not have some of the ice and the snow actually stick to the ground like that. One, to put that coating. Also, we use brine, which is a mixture of salt and water, so that when that is coming out of the spinners, rather than it being scattered and bouncing on the streets, that Teflon helps to keep it sticking right on the street. So that there is a method to the madness of why we do that. However, brine isn't the end-all answer to everything. When the temperatures start to get below 15 degrees, we then go to what some of you affectionately call our beet juice. And that's another different composition that we use. And by putting that pre-treatment down, depending on the weather conditions, again, back to our forecasting that we watch, that helps us to reduce the amount of salt that's used by almost 30%. So it's actually a budget reduction method for us. It also helps us to save on labor and fuel costs. So what type of equipment is needed for a snow operation? And this is representing if we had to do a full plow operation that typically is a 24-hour operation. We have 20 dump trucks and 3 end loaders that go on our residential streets and our mains. We also have parking and parking lots. We have a whole separate crew that does nothing but that, and they have trucks and skid loaders and snow blowers and shovels that do that. And all of that is ending up with 40 staff people, 12 that are helping out our parking lots and our sidewalks, and then 10 support staff. So it really is a full-blown, full-court process. In addition, we do the downtown area. Everybody was talking about downtown, and I'm happy to say we're not calling for any snow for all of the festivities for the Thanksgiving holiday, but it does take a lot of people with our downtown as well. We have 12 staff members, 8 plow trucks, 3 loaders, a snow blower, and depending upon the snowstorm, that can be an 8 to 16-hour operation. And that's why this year we're trying something a little differently, because I know we plow our snow to the middle of the street in the downtown area. There's really no place to put it. I know people question that at times. But this year, in working with staff and trying to be innovative based on comments and concerns we were hearing from the citizens and the businesses, this year we're looking at, we're still going to have to plow it to the center of the street, but now we're going to try get our snow hauling operation started prior to the traffic getting down there. Between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, you're going to see a lot of busy people down there. And we're going to be putting that into a semi-truck loader. So we're trying a little bit different operation. So I would say, please be patient. We're trying to be innovative. And some of the parking lots that are in the downtown area specifically are at City Hall. We work closely with the police to make sure that that parking lot is cleared so they can be responding to emergencies if necessary. Also Mill Street, Broad Street, and of course 3rd Street, the Ironworks. But in order to get to downtown, because of the amount of equipment that we have, that's why we're delayed sometimes completely cleaning up all of the downtown, because that work starts after the mains and residential plowing is done. So we plow the snow to the middle of the street. But then, in order for us to haul a lot of it out of downtown, because I know sometimes we get those mounds of snow and everybody's like, why is this still down here? Here's why. In order to get prepared for the snow hauling, we have to prep the equipment. All of the dump trucks have spinners on them. That all has to be taken off so that when we're unloading the snow in the dump truck, we can open the bucket. And we can't do that if there's a spinner there. Then it takes about 8 to 12 hours to really do the hauling of the snow in the downtown area. Then once we get done with that, we have to take the trucks back to the garage, dry them out, because we don't want the salt interacting with all that moisture, because now we're going to start a chemical reaction in the truck. We don't want that to happen. We're trying to preserve our fleet. We then have to reinstall some of the spinners. So again, it's truly magical when you watch all this, and the staff is lockstep in doing this. They've been doing a tremendous job for years, and we just continue to refine that great work that they're doing. Then we have to put more salt back in the truck, and we're back ready to go plowing. Thanks, Jody. Next one. And so with that, that was just a quick rundown of what we do. Thank you again to Jody and all of the Public Works team, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention, we do these snow plowing operations in concert with our police department as well as with code enforcement. They help us with that. But again, if I can be mindful to the citizens, please make sure you move your cars off the street. If you want, please sign up for the new snow emergency notifications. It's listed for you up there. And again, thank you and have a safe winter.
Just one quick question. We're talking about snow and then we're still talking about trash. But
okay.
In snow emergency time, when you want cars off the street, where should citizens put their trash cans? Because you don't want them on the street. I mean, do you want them just stack them on the tariff in the pile of snow, or what is the best place? Because some people have asked, where's the best place to put our trash cans when it snows, so they won't get buried or they won't.
Come on up here. I'm gonna have our trash czar here tell us about it.
The entryway of your driveway, it widens out there. If you would set both of them on just the corners in your own driveway part, the plow will come by and miss the carts. We will not hit the carts.
That's part of that training, right, Jody?
If we do, we will be replacing them. But so if you put it there, and that's kind of always. So I have a lot of people call and say, "Well, my trash didn't get picked up because a car parked in front of my cart," and of course, then the truck can't pick that up because the car is in the way. Your safest place is in that entryway of your driveway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it inconvenient? Because I have this discussion. Yes, it is. But it's a lot more inconvenient to have 96 gallons of trash that you now can't get rid of.
Okay.
So if you put it there, we'll always be able to pick those up.
Okay. Thanks.
And
Thank you.
hopefully
I just
All right.
I just had one comment, and Jodine, that's exactly what I do during snow times. I just got to say that for years, the Beloit snow removal process, people, everything has just been a sterling example of how it should be done. And I've always been amazed, and I've always been a little disheartened when people give it a hard time, because there's all kinds of variables involved. There's how much snow, the time of day it snows, the frequency of the snow, and you didn't go into any of that. And I don't blame you. It's complicated, too many variables. But we have a wonderful snow removal process that's been honed, and it's still getting better. And we're not satisfied with where we are, and that's wonderful. And I just want, I keep thinking we could be a training ground for a community wanting to know how to improve their snow removal process. People should come here and join us, help, maybe pay us a few bucks for some training, because it's worth it. I don't know a community in this area who can do it better, and I really appreciate it. And thanks a lot.
And we'll definitely let individuals know this time of year we keep reminding people that whether you believe it or not, the trucks are not down the street waiting for you to clean out your driveway to come put the snow back in the driveway. So, and a lot of times people would just get mad and say, I know they were waiting for me to do this, and I say, because they have nothing else better to do with their time. So the little trick that I kind of do, and sometimes it works, is I shovel when I do my driveway, yes, I shovel my driveway. I push the snow to the right side, so when the truck comes by, there's not a lot of snow on the left side to go into my driveway. So I try to keep all that kind of cleared off. So if you remember that, push all your snow to the right side, so when the truck is coming, if you throw it to the left, when they come by, of course that snow is going to be put right back in your driveway. So just a little, so I may not ride a bike in the summer, but I do shovel the driveway. So that's right. It's spirit snow removal. So got the grandbaby out there shoveling snow, training while they're young. Hey, cool. Anything else? Great job to staff for a job that you do for the winter and stuff. So if not, We'll move to item 12, reports from boards and city officers. 12A, please.
The City Council may adjourn into closed session in the City Manager's Conference Room on the fourth floor pursuant to 19.85, Parent 1, Parent G, Wisconsin Stats for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral and written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved and pursuant to 19.85, Parent 1, Parent E, Wisconsin Stats, for the purposes of deliberating and negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, namely to discuss the Town of Beloit Incorporation petition and possible boundary agreement. The council will not reconvene into open session.
Is there a motion? Motion by Duncan. Is there a second? Second by Preshaw. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are in fourth floor conference room, please.